Okay, so this month is Transformation Month, and I had no idea really when I decided that this month was going to be Transformation Month that we would actually be going through such a massive time of transformation with everything that's going on right now. Our whole lives are completely changing in lots of dramatic and diverse ways, and I'm delighted to have our spiritual guru James is back on the show this evening. James, welcome back on the show.
Hey Amanda, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here as always.
And it's Transformation Month, so gosh, what an amazing, what a strange, amazing, and wonderful few weeks it has been. How have you been doing?
Well, to be honest, when this all started to kick off, I thought finally something's happening. Finally something's happening on planet Earth. You know, I think I got into spirituality maybe at least 15 years ago, and when I was in India, I learned about 2012 and this concept of the end of time, the Mayan calendar, and this big transformation that is supposed to happen on the planet. And of course, the solstice, winter solstice of December 21st, 2012 was the date, you know, that everything was going to happen. And of course, you know, that date came along and nothing really happened. I think the changes were happening subtly on a spiritual level, on an energetic level, because I know a lot of people have been going through a lot of shifts over the last 5, 10, 15 years. So things were happening, but it seemed that the external structures were still very much the same. You know, we still had everything externally was just continuing. And it seems that finally something is happening on a big scale, on a global scale, which will mean the Earth will not be the same after this. There's definite transformation going on. So on an individual level, and on a collective level. So it's just, obviously it's a challenging time, and I'm not dismissing or, you know, kind of glossing over the fact that there is a serious illness going around the planet and people are suffering. And I could really sympathize and empathize with that. And for all I know, that could be me. But even if it is, just what is happening on the planet right now, and the potentiality is very exciting. And I've been really enjoying these last couple of weeks, to be honest. And the people that I've been speaking to, some have been finding it challenging, but also others have been really embracing this time, having more free time to do more creative pursuits and things like that, and getting online and doing more sort of social media videos. So yeah, it's been a really bizarrely interesting time. What about yourself, Amanda? How have you been finding it?
Well, I've been finding that so I love my work and I love what I do, and I do quite a lot of it. And most days of the week I'm up early for prayers and meditation in the morning, and then I'm stretching and preparing my body for the physical elements of my job, and I'm taking care of my mental well-being so that I can support my clients. And you know, I have my clinic in Harrogate, I have my clinic in South Shields, obviously I have this fabulous radio show and the podcast and all the other things that I do, as well as my school. And I've kind of got lots of things going on all the time. And I love that kind of busy, continuous, I kind of thrive off that busyness. I enjoy it. I find my work is great, really fulfilling. So for me, what this is doing is it's forcing me to stop altogether certain things, but to really slow down. And the first week I struggled with that slowdown. I don't think my body knew what was going on, and I had strange feelings of frustration, like a mild irritation almost, within myself. that I haven't experienced or haven't felt for a long time. And I do think it's because I'm normally so active physically, I'm normally so social. I checked my calendar, and I was due to meet with over 50 people that first week where I kind of went into isolation. And that's a lot of interaction, that's a lot of contact that I have with a lot of people just in a week. And to have zero contact with anyone, and just to be living alone in my house by myself, I've still got plenty to keep myself occupied, but everything, just the whole slowdown process for me was tough. That first week, I kind of felt strange and odd. Almost went through a bit of a grieving process as well, about the loss of certain things, certain aspects of my work, certain aspects of my life. Kind of had a day where I sat on the sofa and felt quite sad and watched a lot of Netflix. And then
thank God for Netflix.
I tell you what I don't like about Netflix, that are you still watching? The message that comes up. I've never seen that message before.
I've not seen that. I'm not sure quite.
After you've been watching for a few hours, it pops up with this message like, "Are you still there? Are you still watching?" I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Left the TV on. I am still watching, and I'm loving it.
I've never seen that message before. So yeah, I had a bit of a day of just kind of like slobbing around and in my pajamas and feeling a bit lost and a bit kind of like going through like quite a bit of sadness about stopping certain things. And then it just getting into this slower pace is actually really doing me good. I'm actually really beginning to enjoy it now. And I've been able to do a yoga class online. I've been able to do some meditation online. I did a gut health course the other day online, so I've been learning some new things. So there's a lot of things that are kind of on a list in my head that I've wanted to do for years that I haven't had time to do, that I've actually now got the time to do these things.
That's it. I think you've just described it perfectly. So the process that I think a lot of people are going through. I think the life that I've built is already quite slow and quite quiet. So for me, there's not really been a big kind of shift or transition. But I think for so many people, life is so in the fast lane, it's so adrenalized. So there's so much stress. And, not that yours necessarily was, but you said you like to keep busy, and that gave you that sense of fulfillment. And then obviously so many people now have had to just stop what they were doing. And a lot of people there will be in jobs that they don't like, or jobs that they can barely, manage. And it's giving everyone this time to stop and to take serious time out. And of course, a lot of fears are going to manifest. And I just did a little sort of talk on the root chakra, yoga class on the root chakra last week. And it's all about safety and survival and feeling and stability and having, abundance and having money and food and a property and all these survival issues. And this is the adrenal glands. It's the root chakra, first chakra is the adrenal glands. It's your fight or flight response. So I think a lot of us have had these basic survival issues. Oh no, where's the money coming from? I have to stop work, and all these anxieties. And also just obviously with the coronavirus itself, that fear of illness and fear of safety, fear of health. And so many of us are, we've been challenged in the sense that we've had this feeling of control most of our lives. We like to feel in control of our lives, and we structure our lives in such a way that we feel in control, we feel safe. And now something like this has come along, and it's just completely knocked us over. And really having to think deeply about our reality and the life that we built. And something like this can radically change and stop our status quo. And again, initially these fears and anxieties can manifest, and we'll probably be there and to some degree. But
I
at the
mean,
same,
it's caused me to kind of like reflect back as well to some of my psychology training. Years ago, I studied Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is like a triangle. And at the bottom of the triangle, you've got your physiological needs, like food, clothes, warmth, and your home, your shelter. And I know for many people right now, that worry about where they're going to get the money from. Can I get to the supermarket to get the food that I need? Am I going to manage to get through the next few months? Kind of like made that base, the most important kind of the base of that triangle, if you like, the thing that we need first. It kind of shook that, and I love how there's that kind of philosophy as well from kind of that more from that kind of from your perspective,
Eastern,
from your kind of
Eastern,
Eastern perspective, of the base chakra being connected with feelings of security, and feelings of having, knowing that you're going to be able to eat the next meal, knowing where your money's going to come from so you can survive the next couple of months. And I think for many people, that's really been shook about over the last couple of weeks as we've been waiting for the government to roll out emergency plans on how they're going to support us and how they're going to, there's a fantastic organisation here called Heaven Helps, and I know that they've been appealing to a lot of people to support them because they support a lot of people who don't have a great deal anyway, either because they don't have a great income, they struggle to provide their family with food and clothes on a regular week, and they also support a lot of people who are homeless. So in this time where things are even tighter, those people have definitely had their already unstable situation rocked about backwards and forwards. And I've also been following Care for Calais, which is an organisation that I supported some time ago, who take care of displaced people who were living in the jungle. Do you remember the Calais jungle? They closed the Calais jungle down a couple of years ago now, and those people just fled and dispersed out throughout the countryside, and they've been living in makeshift camps. But the donations have dried up. The food that people donate and supply them, that's dried up now as well. So it feels like, the people who normally struggle are also struggling much more at the moment as well. So it's a time, I think, to reflect also on how fortunate we are, that although we may not be feeling that security, there are others that are in much worse positions than we are.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, when there's disasters like this, it does trigger empathy and compassion, and it's obviously bringing people together. And even the governments, they are stepping up and trying to do their best to help. It seems, help us, and that's why community is so important, that we do look out for each other. And obviously we're limited by what we can do with the isolation, but it seems that a lot of people have come together through online, Zoom, social media, and things like that. And so, when you have chaos and disorder and some sort of tragedy like this, there's always something greater coming out of this, and everything happens for a reason. And there's no doubt that though short term there's challenges, a lot of challenges for people, but in the long term, I'm very confident that this is a positive thing for the planet, that we're going to have to. I don't think the Earth will be the same again after we get through this. I think there's going to be some fundamental differences. What they are, I'm not 100% sure, but
Well, we can already see, can't we? Just from the lack of human interaction, the lack of people using their cars less, the effect on air pollution. Air pollution is down, and I know that I was chatting with someone the other day that was saying that if you look at China from space, usually There is like a yellow cloud. There are yellow clouds above China that are, from burning fossil fuels, from burning waste, chemicals that are usually churned out into the atmosphere from factories. And because those factories have all been offline for a couple of months now, you can already see that the air is cleaner. And it does. I get a sense that that the earth is healing as a result of our lack of interaction.
Yeah, definitely. It is that global timeout, like you're saying. We're all just having to kind of like Mother Earth has told us to go to our rooms and think about what we've done, that kind of time for humanity to reflect on the destruction that we've caused. But
yeah,
it's phenomenal, just how potentially how fast the earth can start to heal. And yeah, it does seem like it's a timeout for earth, timeout for all of us. And though the earth is healing, also we're healing. And I think that's the main point that you brought up, is that once we can overcome our fears and our anxieties, we will be fine, touch wood, God willing, we will be fine, having that faith that we'll be okay. And using this time now to be productive. And if you can't go outside, go inside. Right? Take that time to spend more time in self-reflection. And if these things are coming up, we're being triggered, and these survival issues are coming up, we're going to see where we have fears. We don't have to search too deeply to find out where we need to start. I believe that the universe is abundant, and that we've always got what we need. It's our beliefs and our conditioning in scarcity that creates scarcity in our lives. So if you have an inherent belief that the universe, the world is benevolent, is loving, is kind and nurturing, that the universe provides, then I believe, you create your reality. So you will be fine. And so maybe that is bringing up some scarcity issues that need to be looked at. This is root chakra stuff, something I teach a lot. So about healing the root chakra, well, firstly, it works with your feet, your legs, your colon, your glutes, your bones, your teeth, but it's the lower part of the body. And again, it's obviously about being grounded and connected to the earth and appreciative of the earth, and, feeling that sense of abundance that the Mother Earth gives us, and getting outside, getting into nature, gardening, walking around barefooted on the earth, connecting to nature and to the earth element. And physically, we can do physical exercise to strengthen and stretch the legs. Literally, that's moving the energy up and strengthening and moving the energy up to these higher chakras. So like doing yoga and sort of physical disciplines to work with the lower part of the body, stuff with the gut to heal and cleanse the gut. And just there's so many ways that we can work indirectly with these fears by working with this root chakra, Muladhara, root support, the first chakra. Again, and it's exactly the same as Maslow, almost exactly the same as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But it goes steps further. It relates it to the body, and these fears and these emotions are held in the body. It's a psychology. It's an intelligence the body has, and the consciousness of the root chakra again is all to do with survival. So certainly looking at these things is going to be very beneficial. But then you can address all the chakras, and just by simply going into meditation, taking some quiet time, getting to know yourself, getting familiar with who you are. How do you react when you're by yourself? A lot of us stay busy to distract ourselves from ourselves. We don't want to deal with who we are. We find it difficult to be alone with ourselves or just to have quiet time. So this is really what I'm referring to when I say this is incredibly positive for the planet. I feel is it's forcing globally en masse people to stay in and get to know, deal with their stuff, deal with their trauma, and not everyone's going to be doing this, but a lot of people are, and in that it only takes a certain percentage of people on the planet for there to be that 100th monkey effect, that tipping point, where it's going to have a ripple effect outwards. So people are going to be more in a meditative state now. They're going to be less externally focused on work and running around like headless chickens, you know, in the job. And that's a beautiful and phenomenal thing that is happening collectively en masse. And so, yes, the earth is healing externally, but what's happening collectively for us spiritually, psychologically, and that's what I'm really excited about, what this earth planet is going to look like when we get out the other end. And of course, it's not just going to be Eden straight away. This is a process, but this is a shift. This is a jump in that process, I believe. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, so we are really going through quite a transformational time, aren't we, in terms of how we work, how we think. And it's interesting what you were saying about how for many of us we just get busy, don't we? We continue to occupy ourselves. And I know a lot of people I speak to who struggle with anxiety, who struggle with low moods or moods that kind of go from low to high, find they benefit from staying very, very busy all of the time. They're continuously occupying their mind. And I quite often talk to them about how our mind is just like another body part. It's like another limb, like a hand or a foot, and it has a function and it has a use and it does its job. But if we constantly worked our hand all the time and we didn't stop it, and that's kind of what a lot of people's lives are like. They're constantly thinking, they're constantly worrying, they're constantly planning, they're constantly organizing, they're constantly thinking about what's next, they're thinking about what's for tomorrow, they're thinking about how they're going to manage a situation at work, they're thinking about how they can put together a new project, a new plan. All of these thoughts, they're just continuously working. I mean, I've just been doing this for 2 seconds, like opening and closing my hands, and already it's starting to feel quite painful. And what tends to happen when we're constantly using our minds like that is we do actually end up in a state of emotional pain. We end up where we're injuring ourselves. And there's I think it's going to be quite difficult for a lot of people to get out of that place where they're constantly using their mind to avoid emotional pain, but that use of their mind to avoid that emotional pain does actually cause more pain in the long run. So people are going to need to tap into skills, to techniques, to different things, different ways of being able to switch off that busy mind, that busy head, and stop and rest and reflect. And I think that's where practices and things like what you do really, really come in now, isn't it? Because, well, tell us about the benefits of yoga. Tell us about the benefits of meditation. How can they help us go from this state of constant go, 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 go to a place of more calm, more stillness, more peace without experiencing massive, overwhelming pain?
Yeah, well, I think you brought up some good points there. I mean, firstly, it's like, why do we busy ourselves so much with the mind? And I think there's two main reasons why. One is that we struggle to be with ourselves, and the thoughts and being busy gives us that sense of identity, of persona. When you start to go into meditation, that sense of identity and persona, because persona literally means mask that we wear, starts to dissolve, and you start to realize that actually it's just empty space inside, and we are actually nothing. Like this idea of persona, this self-importance. Oh, I've got to do this, and I'm doing this and that. That's actually an illusion, but it gives us comfort, that sense of identity, because actually when you go into deep meditation, there's nothing. It's death. It's like death. You know, there's just, and that's scary. And there've been times when I've been in a state where my mind is completely quiet, and I get scared. I'm like, holy shit, this is like silence. This is death. And it does happen from time to time. So I think we have to ask, why do people busy themselves so much with the mind? One, I think, is like this sense of comfort and security and the sense of identity, you know, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, that self-importance is something to attach to, that security. Like we're saying, we all need a sense of security, and that identity persona gives us a sense of security. And also, you know, when you do quieten and spend more reflective time, trauma comes up. And I think this might even be the bigger reason why a lot of people keep themselves busy. Trauma is bloody difficult to deal with. It's painful. You know, we've all had trauma. We've all had issues from the past. We've all been hurt. We've all been scarred. And when we start to take this journey, this path, it's inevitable that trauma starts to reveal itself. And that's what happens in meditation or hypnotherapy or any of these disciplines, yoga, where you work more with the body, but it's all the same thing. When we start to quieten the mind, it allows those memories, thoughts, emotions, things that are trapped in the subconscious, trapped in the body, to present themselves. Painful past memories and experiences. And that's not easy. That's painful for a lot of people. And I think that's why a lot of people aren't on this journey and aren't ready to start this journey of spirituality, which is really just means the journey of self-awareness. And because the trauma's not easy to deal with. So like you're saying, the people who are bipolar or have anxiety issues, it's because there's so much trauma there. It's just underneath the surface. And the only thing that can stop oneself from being engulfed by it is by keeping the mind active, being distracted, essentially. And then you don't have to deal with that stuff. Now that has all been put on hold, and we have, you know, it's almost like we don't have a choice. And this is why it's so amazing. We don't, a lot of us, I mean, there are still people obviously working, but the majority don't have a choice. We have to stop, slow down. So those two things happen, is that sense of identity, sense of routine, sense of who you are, you know, starts to dissolve if you always keep yourself busy. And then with the quiet time, and especially if you start to go into these disciplines like yoga, meditation, these things from the past are going to come up. This starting with this root chakra survival, these survival issues, but every chakra is going to be influenced. Second chakra, it's about connection with other people. Like if we're self-isolating, you know, and obviously the heart chakra is also to do with love. It's a deeper.
I'm definitely missing hugs.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, I mean, I'm not quite sure. You know what this is. It's another thing that's coming up here, is this connection with people, but again, it's, you know, it's forcing us online and forcing us to connect and step up online and things like that. But if we go back to yoga meditation, of course, their yoga really is designed to release trauma from the body, and the meditation is really designed to release trauma from the subconscious. And arguably they're the same, you know, they're two sides of the same coin, because the body is the subconscious, or the body is the storehouse of the subconscious. It's just slightly different approaches. So when we go to yoga, yoga is an internal journey. You know, something like martial arts for me is more externally focused. You're moving energy externally from you, whereas yoga is like you go inwards. You're working very much with the energies within. I know you do that in martial arts as well, but yoga feels to be a more internal journey, physical journey that ends up being spiritual. And the meditation obviously is more about just quietening the mind. And when we quieten the mind, things come up, and it's how we then relate to those traumas. So yoga, meditation, any of these disciplines like hypnotherapy, shamanic journeying, anything that brings you into your body where we hold trauma, or brings you into a quiet mind where we hold trauma, is going to be beneficial. And obviously there are techniques, because I think people get confused, or what is meditation? Because technically, according to the Yoga Sutras, jhana meditation is the 7th step of yoga, is when the mind is completely fixed, undisturbed, and fixed on one point of focus. So you have the 6th stage, dharana, concentration, where we focus the mind on something, but the mind may wander. And then over time, we become so fixed, it becomes meditation. But it's not necessarily easy to go straight into that state. And so we have all these kind of visualizations and relaxations that help us to quieten the mind, help us to calm, working with the breath. And all of these are very, very important. and maybe even meditation in its technical definition, according to the Yoga Sutras, is a slightly more advanced stage. But all these techniques to calm the mind, to go inside, to quieten the mind, are all very, very beneficial, and they're going to help us. But it's like opening Pandora's box, right? So if we haven't looked at any of our stuff all our lives, and all of a sudden coronavirus kind of meditation starts, it can be quite challenging. But I think you just take it one step at a time and deal with it day by day. So it's going to be a test for us all. There's no doubt about it. And it seems like we're just at the beginning of this process. I mean, you're saying just recently on the news that this could go on for 6 months, even more potentially. We don't know. But this reality that we now find ourselves in is likely to be the norm for the foreseeable future, for the next few months. So adapting as best as we can, definitely looking at these different methodologies. There's so much now available online, and practicing these different techniques and different paths. And yeah, I think, it's interesting because you do have people like Dolores Cannon, a famous psychic medium, who talked about this kind of separation of some people are going to stay in fear and anxiety, and some people are going to move into this love and compassion and connection, this 3D and 5D. So it's a very interesting, is that split? Is that something that, is going to happen? Are we all going to evolve? Are we all going to heal, transform? Even in the Bible, talks about the rapture. In the Gospel of Matthew, it talks about, there's two in a field and one disappears, and this idea there's a separation, the wheat from the chaff, that depending on your frequency, and if you can't get out of fear and anxiety, you may stay in that reality, and there'll be a splitting of the realities. So it's interesting theory, and it's something worth considering.
I always think our outer world, the world in general, is a reflection of what is going on in our inner world. And as we can already see healing happening on the planet, I'd like to think that this is an opportunity for everybody to heal. And I feel like we're really going through a time of, like, we're evolving, a time of evolution. And transformation isn't always, transformation is tough. Transformation isn't an easy process. When we do quieten our mind, we do, like you say, open Pandora's box, and things come up for us to deal with. And I think it's important for us to see these things as opportunities to work on ourselves. I was joking with my friend yesterday, who's a hypnobirthing instructor, and we were saying, do you think we're going to be really busy in 9 months' time? And she said, yeah, us and divorce lawyers.
Yeah, well, that's what they say, isn't it? Apparently, when China, I don't know if their quarantines are finished, but like the divorce rates just shoot up, and apparently the highest time for divorces is January after the Christmas holidays. So yeah. Well, that's crazy though, isn't it? Well, that's exactly it. People are going to be forced together, like married couples who hate each other, but manage to avoid each other most of the time because of staying busy. And then they're like, oh, actually, can't stand this person. And again, but that, if that causes separation and it's an unhealthy relationship, then arguably that's a healthy thing. So it's gonna ask a lot of people, and I do certainly hope we all do this together. But you got to think, this is happening globally, and you see these pictures of these families. I don't know if it's in China or the Philippines or wherever, but they're literally living in a box, and they're sleeping next to the toilet. That's if they're even lucky enough to have a shelter.
Yeah.
So I've just come back from holiday in India. I'm just thinking, how on earth is India gonna, like 1.3 billion people, like how are they gonna manage this? How are they gonna manage isolation and quarantine? I've seen some of the videos. It's absolute mayhem. Try telling 1.3 billion Indians to stay indoors, and then it's going into summer now, so it's going to be ridiculously hot. So
I have friends who are from different parts of Africa, and I was chatting to someone yesterday who's their home country is in a civil war currently, and there's no electricity and there's no running water. And he was saying, how are you going to manage if you can't wash with this virus? And they were saying, oh, this virus, no problem at all. Let's try and stay alive from the bullets that are flying through the air first.
Exactly.
So I do think that, you know, we do have to, when we are having difficult times, we do have to remember just how lucky we are to be here. You know, we're literally being asked to stay at home. And most of us have got a home, most of us have got electricity, most of us have got running water, most of us have got food. And I think if we've got those things, we've got a massive amount to be grateful for. And I know that when I'm going through a really tough time, if some of my traumas are coming up to the surface, if I'm having to deal with things that are challenging on an emotional level, challenging on a financial level, challenging on whatever level, if I can think of something that I'm grateful for, it helps me to manage that pain. It helps me to put that thing into a real context so that I can see it from a different perspective. And then that helps me to work on whatever that issue is.
Yeah, definitely. I think gratitude is one of the most powerful tools that we can utilize to enter into that sense of gratitude. And and to put it in perspective, really, you know, most of us have what we need. Yeah, we're safe. Most of us, you know, are healthy, and most of us, even if we do get the virus, will recover and we'll be fine, or we might not even notice that we even had it because the death rate is so low. So yeah, I think just maintaining gratitude, but also, you know, we're having to readapt to this for most of us a slower life. I know some of those mothers who are homeschooling, you know, shout out to you guys, you know, a lot of love and respect to you, because I know it's difficult.
Oh yeah.
And you know, so you know, we're talking, hopefully, yeah, you can find time as well, and hopefully the partners can step in, and because it is important that we all can find a bit of quiet time for ourselves. But if we're in a position where, you know, we do have more free time, then I think just keeping structure and routine in our days, you know, keeping focus and having purpose. I think it's when we lose our purpose and when we lose routine, and when we lose that reason to get out of bed. You know, it's all right for a day or two, especially if we're recovering from, you know, a horrible job for the last 10 years. You know, chill out, enjoy yourself. 100%. Sleep is one of the biggest blessings from this situation, especially for those who are utterly exhausted from however many years of really challenging lifestyle. But once you feel ready to kind of get back to it, I think, again, it's like saying, having structure, routine, having something to focus on, learn new skills, develop old talents, build your day around getting out for exercise, getting out into nature. You know, I think people think they can't go outside. It's madness. You know, you can still go outside, you still get into nature. And I think that's really key, really important during these times. And just building, again, meaning, structure, routine into life where you feel that sense of accomplishment and achievement. And for a lot of us, people like yourself and myself, we're going online. You know, we have to. You know, I've managed to continue teaching, but now instead of doing live yoga classes and Pilates classes, I'm recording, uploading them to YouTube, and then sending them to students. And I think, you know, not all students are going to want to continue, but a lot of our students have done, which is great. And I think they're very grateful, again, to have something in their day and in their lives that they can do, which gives them structure and meaning and is good for them. Physical exercise is so obviously so important. And, you know, we can't go to the gyms for those who are maybe gym goers, but we can go outside, we can walk, we can run, we can cycle, we can, you know, from someone who's worked in the gym and now does pretty much everything just on the mat, you know, on a yoga mat, you can do a lot of your physical exercise without having to use equipment. You can use your own body weight. So there are things that we can, obviously lots of things we can do. And for me personally, it's been a journey of really getting into the social media, getting online, recording, and about, expressing myself in a different medium. And it's something that I feel is part of my healing and my journey. And so personally, this is the journey and the healing and the evolution that I feel that I'm on, is doing things like this. And for me, it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Going back to what you were saying about physical exercise, I mean, I'm very lucky. My next door neighbour is she's a respiratory physio at the hospital here, and she is very, very busy at work right now, and she's working very, very long days, and she has a dog. And normally she takes her dog to a dog nursery, a dog walker, but she can't do that at the moment. So I'm walking the dog on a daily basis. I'm absolutely loving it. It's brilliant. And I'm getting out. This morning I went out and walked on the beach with the dog and actually had such good fun. The dog was bouncing up at me and smiling and laughing and chasing rocks and things. So I'm really enjoying the opportunity.
I'm not surprised.
To get out and walk just an hour every day. But it's really helpful. But physical movement is so important, isn't it? When it comes to when we are at home and we are quietening our mind and those traumas do start to come up, physical movement is definitely a great way of processing that trauma, a great way of releasing that trauma, a great way of healing that trauma. And I find that yoga for me is one of the most healing practices when it comes to releasing that trauma, because it raises your heartbeat just enough to meet the stress, to meet the anxiety, but the movements are flowing and slow, so they feel safe and secure for your body. So definitely, if you've got more free time, I think this is an opportunity to not only maintain our health, but to boost our health and to boost our immune systems as well. I mean, how good is yoga for boosting your immune system?
Yeah, absolutely. And even last week, a couple of weeks ago, I did a immunity booster yoga flow sessions free on YouTube.
Ooh,
and we've got some really, really positive feedback from it. And if we look at immunity, it's very much related to the heart chakra, because in the heart, you have the thymus gland, and the thymus gland produces white blood cells. So, and interestingly, coronavirus attacks the lungs. And so it's very much a heart-centered issue. And so, yeah, exactly as you said, yoga, it can work through the chakras. And again, the chakras are simply different parts of the body where we hold trauma. And when we move certain parts of the body, we do certain stretches and strengthening exercises. And also we go deeper, we can spend a little bit longer in a position like in yin yoga. And that's where we can go really deep into that body part, that area of the body. And that's when things can really start to move and start to be released. But yoga is a phenomenal form of exercise. And obviously it's a spiritual path. And I think a lot of people forget that it is a spiritual healing path. But even if you just take it as a physical exercise, it's phenomenal. And, like I was saying, these days I do my yoga Pilates, and then I like to cycle and walk. And that's enough for me. And even if I didn't cycle, I'd probably be okay, because I have a regular breathing practice in yoga, because yoga also includes pranayama. And obviously, again, that's working with the lungs, working with the heart. Prana, it means breath, life force. And yama, it's actually ayama, because there's two A's there. Ayama means expansion. So you're expanding breath, because prana in Sanskrit is means breath and life force. So you're expanding the life force through the body, through these breathing practices. So yoga is a complete system in the respect that it has the physical, it has work with the cardiovascular, the breath, and then it has the meditative and the deeper spiritual. So yes, you can adapt your practice to focus on different functions. You can practice yoga to build this root chakra, as I was describing earlier, working a lot with the legs, strength and flexibility, the legs, the glutes, the colon. Or you could focus maybe a bit more on the heart and start to open up into the heart and get the thymus gland open, get the white blood cells moving, get the lymph moving around the body. but you're going to get this anyway in your general yoga class. You're going to get all these benefits. It's great. It focuses a lot on the spine, so many upward and down forward bends. Do your up dog, your down dog, and basically yoga is a lot of extensions and flexions. So you're just lengthening and increasing the distance between the vertebrae. You're decompressing the spine. And so, I could talk for ages about the benefits of yoga. I'm happy to do so as well another time. But yeah, yoga is definitely one of the most the all-rounded practices, disciplines that you can do. And you can adapt it to what you need. So some guys, they might want more physically strong, and more strength-based. You can do, there's loads of really challenging yoga positions like handstands and all these different arm balances, chaturanga, which is doing a push-up, yogic push-up. It's strong. It can be really challenging. So yeah, I think yoga, certainly for a physical discipline. Then you've got Ayurveda, which looks at the food. We talked about Ayurveda in one of our original podcasts. That's Indian traditional medicine that goes more into diet and lifestyle. And then you've got meditation, and that's really is part of yoga. So yeah, in that respect, you have a very holistic system if you include all those different avenues.
Amazing. So eat well, calm your mind, enjoy the slow down, enjoy the pace, this new pace that we're now living with, slowing down. If you're finding that challenging, use meditation, do some yoga, feel the benefit of physically moving as a way of releasing those traumas. And work on your base chakra if you're feeling frightened, if you're feeling fear-filled. I think it's such a good. The meditation that you did, can I share that on our Facebook page?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I've been putting more and more stuff on YouTube now, so that's again one thing that I've really been focusing on to provide content. So yeah, my YouTube is Gopala Yoga. So it's Gopala yoga. But I'm certainly, I can send you or have a look, and just feel free to share any of those the yoga flow session that I did. And I did a breathing meditation. There's quite a lot of stuff there, and I'll certainly be doing more.
And the good thing about YouTube is you can access it any time of the day or night.
Well, I think this is it.
It's really accessible for people, isn't it?
Yeah, I think people are moving away from terrestrial TV, and now, I can't even get a signal with my TV, so it's all YouTube. YouTube is like, and I know it's being monitored and controlled, and more adverts, but it allows every single person to have their own channel. Essentially, there's always it's an infinite potential. So YouTube is great in that respect. But like back to what you're saying about what to do if you are finding it difficult, and I've been reaching out to groups and people that I'm part of, and just checking in with people and checking that people are okay. I think connection is absolutely key. Connection, and obviously if you can't do it physically, we can do it virtually. But just reaching out, if you're finding it difficult, reach out to someone, reach out to friends, family, to groups that you're connected with, even I'm sure to the radio station. And
absolutely,
you have I'm not sure how it all works, but if you've got the Facebook page and things like that, and just
we've got the Facebook page and the website, and actually if you go onto our app, you can email us directly from the app as well. You can email live into the studio. It just comes in straight from the app, so you can just message us directly. But James and I are both working online, and we are both available. If you do need to speak to somebody, if you need that support, please do reach out. My website, which I don't normally promote on this show, but it's amandajoy.co.uk, and I am available online to give you any support. So if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, if you're feeling a bit stressed, if you're feeling anxious, do get in touch. I've been absolutely blessed this week to have been able to work with people and see them go from quite a high level of anxiety, quite overwhelmed, feeling very worried and concerned, to feeling very much back in control, to feeling very, a lot calmer. to sort of have been able to put some clear objectives, some goals in place, things that they can work towards, helping them to put together schedules for their days on what they're going to do throughout the day, so they've got some structure again, because it is difficult, isn't it? Everything gets kind of thrown about, and everything normal that we're used to has gone out of the window. So if you are struggling, please do reach out, watch some of James's YouTube videos, have a go at those, send him an email, and equally feel free to get in touch with me as well. We are here to support you, and we will do that, and if we can't support you, we will connect you to people who can. Between the two of us, we've got a massive network of people that we can recommend you to. So don't struggle, reach out and ask for help. Do what James says, connect with people, pick up the phone, speak to a friend, a family member, reconnect with some of those friends that you don't normally have time to speak to, and enjoy doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think again, it's about making a negative into a positive, and working out like how we can turn this around to make it actually a really positive thing in our lives. So yeah, definitely other people are, I think, going to be key, but also staying busy, staying focused, learning new things. It's a great opportunity for that. So this can be seen as a blessing. This can be seen as a blessing if we use our time productively and things like that. But certainly if you want to get in touch with me, I know I mentioned the YouTube channel, but my website, www.gopalayoga.co.uk, and feel free to send me an email, anything like that. Be very welcome.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, Amanda.
I love our chats. It's so nice
fun
to have you on. And I just feel so many people benefit from hearing your words of wisdom. It's just an absolute blessing to have you on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and
Amanda.
I'll see you next month.
Yes, see you next month. Yeah.
All right, take care.
Right,
Bye.
take care. See you later. Bye.